Hello and welcome to another edition of This Week in ITFC History. My name is David Diamond and I'll be joined by my colleague, the Renegade Statman, to look back at the momentous season that was 1980-81. Now, this is a bit of a marathon, so we're now on part 3, Stat, the third quarter of the season.
Yeah, game 35 to 51 we're going to cover. Just one thing, just picking up on your introduction, you just called me your colleague. Now, usually it's colleague and good friend. So are you being a bit huffy about, I've been on here recording with my mate Jim?
Sorry, Stat. No, of course. Yeah, I mean, that was quality, wasn't it? I mean, tell us how much you enjoyed all that.
I can't. I still can't quite believe it. But yeah, I mean, it was easy. Once you asked a question, then Jim just went away. So a bit like you, really.
It was cheers. Veiled compliment. Yeah. I think it was a bit like everyone who played with him. So he always demanded the ball and stuff like that, and demanded the next question so he could just talk on. He was superb, and I must admit, and thanks to you, you said it. You very kindly set it up last week. Well, you introduced it. Was I did an equally for me enjoyable one with Tommy Miller, just a one like hour and a bit last week. And again, he was absolutely fantastic. Some good stories, particularly a non-Ipswich story about Paolo Di Canio and having the players in every day for 76 straight days. It was a real insight. I'm sure you found that with Jim. It's just a real insight into these guys, isn't it?
But I've got to say, and I'm sure you noticed that as well, but I was really frustrated that I couldn't throw in any impressions or stuff like that. I was kind of waiting for you when you were with Tommy. And at some point,
how could I could have, but right at the end, I was gonna throw it in right at the end. I thought, no, I better not, just to see. He'll say, no, I don't remember that at all. No, I don't remember that at all. So it was really enjoyable. And so far, I think it's been great. So Mikey Penty Smith, our fellow Blue Monday colleague, did another brilliant piece with Matt Holland about 2 or 3 weeks ago, which was great. Done Jimmy Jilt and Tommy Miller. So we're on the lookout for the next. Do we call them victim? I don't think we call them victims, do we?
Yeah, no, I like victims. But yeah, the whole time when I was with Jim, I just kept thinking, I want to say, what about you, Liz? And I just couldn't fit it in. So I'm glad to be back on home turf with you.
There you go.
On like you said, a momentous season. So shall we recap? At the end of part 2, we were in 3rd place. We were 1 point off the top, 2 games in hand. Just drawn away to Arsenal on the 27th of December. Yep. And we were now playing game number 35, which was in the FA Cup 3rd round. It was the 100th. It's going to be the 100th FA Cup final, and I think it's fair to say that the tie of the round was at Portman Road, where Ipswich entertained Ron Saunders Aston Villa again.
Yeah, who were either, well, you would tell me who were top at the time, top or second. If we were third, they were top. Liverpool second. I think I know you're gonna make this point in another 2 or 3 games time in a few minutes, but I think the key thing about this game is look at the strength of the 2 sides, and the 2 sides that are out there are the 2 full strength sides, and yeah, that's basically how it was. Memories of this game, I remember going very tight game, quite a decent crowd, atmosphere. I think generally we had the upper hand. They defended quite well. A brilliant goal. I think could have actually been goal of the month. This goal, an incredible goal, reasonably early on. And again, you can see this is on YouTube. It was a main match, I think, on Match of the Day, and the goal just typifies Ipswich really that season. I mean, Tyson sort of twists and turns past seemingly about 8 players, but I think it's only 3. Basically gets it to Muir, who just absolutely sweeps like a 50-yard crossfield ball. It's absolute class. I think headed on then by Walk. Brazil then gets it by the byline, swivels, turns it back. First time from Marin. I mean, absolute hell of a peach of a goal, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. I think, the the dribble and the turn from Tyson. I don't know who. I think it might have been Des Bremner. Might have been with him.
Yeah,
it just made him look incredibly silly. And like you say, Muren's pass then to walk. It's fantastic. Mariner had the easy thing to do. He tapped it in from about 2 yards at the near post.
Ridiculous goal. Tyson, again, I think we dwelt on it before in that Norwich League Cup game when he sets a similar goal up. Well, not similar goal up. After a similar run, he sets a goal up for Muren. It's just unique. I don't think I've ever seen any player beat players the way he did, because he wasn't excessively quick, but he just had this really drag back, and he could, really, probably one of the most best balanced footballers I think I've ever seen. Incredible, absolutely incredible.
I think I said on one of the history shows before, Mick Mills said if he ever got in a bit of trouble in defence, he just passed it to France. He said because he could just dribble out. Because it's the FA Cup, we've got a slightly different FA Cup programme.
Oh, wow, look at that. I don't think I've ever seen that one. I don't think I must have. I probably did, but...
Yeah, you've seen that one. And the mascot, interestingly, was on the inside cover.
Blimey.
So, I don't know. Let us see if you can see it.
Matthew Jones of... bloody hell, of Seaford and East Sussex. Clearly, none of them very rarely come from Ipswich.
No, Seaford and...
Although, Stat, I think we should mention that another of our podcast colleagues, Craig, yesterday did post that he is an acquaintance with one of the mascots that we've mentioned on a previous show, apparently in this season, I believe.
It is this season, and if you and I weren't so similar, then one of us would have read it and made notes to see which game it was. But yeah, definitely a mascot from before January 81.
It was. Could have been West Brom. Oh, sorry if I got that wrong. But yeah, so yeah, there's a first for us anyway.
There was something else I wanted to mention in the programme, which was it's called Top of the Class. And Match Magazine had done after every game, given players scores and stuff like that, out of 10. And they've been going through the season. So at this point of the season, the top goalkeeper is Paul Cooper, 7.42.
So it's the top goalkeeper across the division.
Ahead of Jim McDonough of Everton. Midfield, Craig Johnston, Middlesbrough just edged out Franz Tyson, 7.5. John Walk was down in 12th place. I don't know. And forwards, Mariner, Gates and Brazil, as you would imagine, were in the top 10. But then the defenders, Burleigh was 7th, but the top 3 were Mick Mills, Terry Butcher, and Russell Osman. So something massively to be massively proud about.
Well, I'm massively proud, and I think it just sums up just the season that it was, really.
Now, one thing I want to mention about this game, there's 2 things in particular. First of all was the battle between Terry Butcher and Peter With, and that terrible tackle. Can you remember that?
Well, all I remember about the Butcher With thing is I remember Butcher's shirt is just shredded, isn't it? And he's got these stud marks down his sort of like kidney.
That's right, yeah.
He's in back. I mean, it was. Yeah, I think With was a bit of a sort of old-fashioned barnstorming centre forward. I think that's how he played. I don't think there's no particularly malice in it, but nasty one.
And the other thing is, obviously, the last time we'd met Aston Villa in the Cup was back in 1975 when we had that amazing comeback from 2-0 down to 3-2, and we spoke about the fact that that hindered our title challenge that year. Do you think it might? Do you think it might do it this year as well?
Oh, mate, honestly, who knows? Yeah. Villa. I don't know that game. Villa get a result. Villa beat us. They go to the next round at Shrewsbury. One of their key players picks up, and it's all whys and ifs and if nots, really, isn't it? But subsequent games in the FA Cup that season, just again fantastic. So we wouldn't have had those memories. But yeah, a good call probably.
Bobby Robson said at the end of the game that the action hardly stopped for 90 minutes, and he can sympathise with Villa going out. Well, I've read quite a few articles and seen a few things, like you say, in videos on YouTube, and I think he was being quite polite there. I think 1-0 was definitely a fair reflection of that. So Villa are out, and we go back to the bread and butter of the league, which is we've actually got a week before the next game, which is unusual. So the following Saturday, we were at home to Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest, which obviously was a tough one. Sleet and snow on the ground. Do you remember that? There was?
No, but we're going to now get to the next game, and I remember obviously it must have hung about a bit because I remember the next game being a midweek game, and it certainly was, pretty bad.
The mascot, as I've put on my notes here, is on not page 5 from the back. My notes should be better, but this I'll read it out and then put the photo up. Can you count to 5? I can't count to 5 from back. Here we go. So the mascot, it was from Ipswich.
Hey,
actually, this name rings a bell.
Go on.
Stuart Wayman, Whyman, and he's from 51 Cowper Street. And his favourite player, no surprise there, is John Walk.
John Walk. There you go. Stuart Wayman. He's 7, 1981, 39, 40. What that? I can't even do the maths. 46 would that? 46 would that make him? Yeah.
I was reading my notes, so I'll let you go with that. But what I want to share with you is one of the favourite bits at the back, which is what was on at the ABC and the Odeon. So the ABC had a film called Don't Answer the Phone. Never heard of that. No, the Odeon had the Blue Lagoon, which was a double A, whatever that means. A bit like do you need to bring a battery?
No, double A 14. So I think, you had to go with an adult.
Yeah. Raise the Titanic.
Okay. Yeah.
And also one of your favourite films, Sexual Ecstasy, which was an X. Do you remember that one?
I don't remember. I don't remember that one. I think I can vaguely remember the Blue Lagoon. I think it could have been someone like, I don't know, Brooke Shields or someone in that.
It was Brooke Shields. I remember parts of that. Anyway, and at the Gaumont, Iron Maiden were due to play on the 17th of February. No other names of great mention. Let's go through the town team. There's one change for town. So Cooper's in goal. Burleigh, Butcher, Osmond and Mills is your standard back four. Kevin O'Callaghan comes in for the suspended Eric Yates. Obviously, he got sent off in that 5-3 defeat at Tottenham. Alongside Walk, Tyson and Murin, and Mariner and Brazil are up front. Do you remember much about the game or the goals? Or
I don't even know. I started to play quite seriously at this one, Saturday football at this point. So I think it's one of the games I missed. I can't recall much about this game. Seen the goals. I think it was not perhaps on Match of the Day. It was on, the Jerry Harrison, ITV Match of the Week. 2-0. I mean, just a notable double over Forest, isn't it? We beat them there, who was double, coming off double European champion. So, it's still a notable result, really. Got a good number one for you, actually. Thinking about, the turn of 1981. Thinking about what happened in December 1980. Not surprisingly, it is a John Lennon song.
Imagine.
Yeah.
It's a great song, but it's a bit predictable, really, wasn't it? out of all the songs that I could have guessed, but no,
it was, but he could have gotten the other way round because obviously he's replaced by his own. But there you go.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Well, one of the positive things about the game after the game was that Liverpool lost, so they were starting to edge out. Unfortunately, they lost to Villa.
Yeah.
So let's give you the first league table of 1981. So Liverpool are third with 34 points from 26 games. We're second, 35 from 24 games, and we're 1 point behind Villa, who are 36 points in 26 games. Right in the mix there.
It's tight, isn't it? It's really tight. Yeah.
So let's move to one of our game in hands.
Yeah.
The next game, where, as you say, snow's on the pitch. We play with an orange ball.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
Birmingham
it's covering
City.
the snow on the pitch. Yeah, not quite. I don't think it's not quite Leicester of a few seasons ago, but it was certainly snow on the pitch. I'm sure. I can't remember it snowing. Again, not like the Leicester game, but the game was never in doubt. Just snow-covered pitch, obviously freezing temperatures, so I hadn't thawed, sort of thing. Very, by comparison, quite a low crowd. I think it's like 15,000 or something there, under perhaps.
That was 21,000.
Yeah, more than I thought.
Yeah,
didn't
I know.
Didn't see it when I was there. Didn't see it when I was there.
Well, most people had gone home, I reckon. But I think maybe most people had come for the cup vouchers, and I noticed in all of the programs that start following, they all start saying that that vouchers are going to be handed out.
Wow.
Now, there's not much more in this program, but just to say that this game was the 12th anniversary as for Bobby Robson as manager.
Right.
And the special guest, don't know if you remember who the special guest was that day to come and watch the game.
Well, a midweek game against Birmingham.
Yeah, I think he was a corporate guest of Jay's Fluid or something. I might be getting that wrong, but it was Brian Jacks.
Oh right, Superstars,
and I think he was a judo guy before that as
well. He was, yeah. So no, obviously better known for Superstars. Yeah, he was the one that went mental with the old dips. I mean, you're a kid then, so you were what? How old then? 8, 9, 10? I don't know.
I was 10. No, I was 9. Yeah, I was 9.
Yeah.
And
so you remember? So you can vaguely remember Superstars watching it and stuff.
I wore my mum and dad's carpet out doing those little squat thrusts. Remember, because he introduced the sort of sliding approach. Most people used to jump. So yeah, I remember Brian.
Wasn't it? It was those, and when he was a bit mental on the dips, wasn't he? Remember, it was him. He was like a machine on the dips. That's where he he just didn't stop. So if the record was like 60, it was got 80, and he was like, yeah, right, yeah. I remember that was great. That was a bloody highlight of the week, Superstars, because obviously, again, no Sky Sports or anything like that. The iconic Kevin Keelan falling off his bike.
Yeah.
Kevin Keelan. Stan Bowles nearly drowning in the pool, couldn't swim. It's great. Yeah, love that. Ron Pickering, brilliant.
Pickering. No team changes. So Gates is obviously still out, and we need to win. A win will put us to the top of the table, and we won quite convincingly 5-1.
Yeah, again, I can't remember much about the goals. I'm not sure there's any footage of these goals, but yeah, absolutely, sort of blew them away. Really, one of my favourite players did score for. Did he not? Did he?
He scored the equaliser. Yeah,
Worthington for Birmingham. I remember that, but yeah, all I can remember about the game is it's comfortable. Just blew them away, really.
It certainly did 5-1. And just to correct myself, he actually scored. We were 2-0 up when Frank Worthington scored. Bobby Robson said it was a carnival atmosphere and it was worth 3 points because of the goal difference.
A bit of foresight from Sir Bob there.
So
interesting players in the Birmingham side. I picked out Alan Kirbishley, Keith Birchin, X-Town, Archie Gemmell, of course. Archie.
Colin Todd. Yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, they all played. Ainscough as well was another name. Alan Ainscough played as well. So we go top of the table.
Yep.
This is brilliant. Liverpool with a third. We're 3 points ahead of them. Villa second. We're 1 point ahead of them. And we've still got a game in hand on both of them. This is. I tell you what. I've been saying this all along. I have not paid any attention to this season ever in my life, so I'm actually living it as we go through, and I think we are going to win the league.
I think so. Honestly, go on. Yeah.
So we now move to game 38 of the season. It's the 26th game of the league season. We're away to Everton. There's the little program.
Oh wow! Look at that! Look at that beauty.
Yeah, it's
I'm trying to name the Arsenal players there. Switch it around. I reckon there's John Hollins. No, I'll tell you what, stat quiz for you, mate. And if you don't know, name the Everton player and the Arsenal player.
That one.
The other one, not John Hollins. The one who's sliding, one who's making the tackle.
The one who's laying on the ground, that one.
Yeah. Who's that, do you reckon?
No idea.
I think it's there's John Devine and Imre Varadi, I think.
It is Imre Varadi, yeah. And I was going to say, usually they'd have on the front cover saying our cover photo is of... But yeah, that's all I'm going to do there. There was a horrible muddy pitch. We go to Goodison Park. Gates is the only change. He comes in for O'Callaghan. He's not suspended. And the game ends 0-0.
Yeah, again, I think given the weather we'd had down here, the weather up there was probably, up in Liverpool, up the north, probably worse. So, yeah, I remember the Everton pitch being particularly bad in those days. Don't use sand and stuff like that. I think I remember that cup side the year before when we lost. It was pretty heavily sanded and stuff. So, yeah, strength sapping, I'd say.
Oh, yeah, certainly in January when it's your 38th game as well. Bobby Robson said a draw was a fair result.
Yeah, take a point.
Yeah, at this stage of the championship, he saw it as a 0.1 rather than a point lost.
Yeah.
Villa won 2-1 at Coventry to go joint top. So we're both on 38 points. We've just played one game less. Then we go. I don't know about you, but it's like I remember like last time, part 2. This is quite tiring now. I have to keep looking at my notes. Right, so now it's the 39th game, and we're playing Shrewsbury Town. Now, most people, if you haven't, get yourself on eBay. I think there are loads of these around, Dave.
Yeah.
And so we're
Big
playing
crowd there that day. Though big crowd for them. Brilliant.
Well, 18,000. It was an all ticket game. That's it for the program. So we've. As you said about strength sapping, we didn't have a game during midweek, but then we go to Shrewsbury Town, and goodness knows what league they were in at that point. I should have had a look.
Third division, I think.
Bobby Robson makes no changes whatsoever.
No, but I know it's easy to say. Hindsight, wonderful thing, but you just didn't then, really. It's just didn't. I remember going to this game. How could you do this? I remember going by coach. A lot of the lads I played football with are regulars at the Fuchsia, the blooming Fuchsia on Vauxhall Road. Went in a coach with the boys from the Fuchsia. Met up with my mates, my school mates and stuff, mates who I knocked around with actually at the game because obviously there's no seat, you mingle them. And Jib didn't go back on the coach, but just jumped on the train on the way back. No tickets or anything like that. Just jumped on the train all the way back. And what I remember about this. The game itself, bit of a non-event, 0-0. We didn't play that well. Shrewsbury are really up for it. I think Cooper played pretty well. The big thing coming out of this game is the injury of Burleigh. But just quickly, so I jump on the train. Norwich are playing Man City, get absolutely walloped. I think about 5 or 6-0 in the cup at Man City. And as this special train pulls through into Peterborough, the Norwich train pulls in it's either in front or behind or something like that. All hell breaks loose. There's people on the platform and bloody hell, cans are being thrown. But it's all kicking off. Police are there, everything. Anyway, that all settles down and we make it back to Ipswich. So I remember that. But the crucial thing about this game is obviously we don't lose, but the Burleigh injury, which I think initially Robson says that he would have thought it was maybe a 3 or 4 week job at worst, but it was a serious one. And I think Burleigh, I think I've said this before, was perhaps one of the first to have the sort of like pioneering keyhole surgery.
He was, yeah.
Done by quite an eminent surgeon, I think, in Cambridge. Because prior to this, the actual that type of knee injury is the cruciate. It was a cruciate. I think it's lateral or whatever it was. A cruciate knee would his finished career. So he was one of the first players to actually successfully have the op and actually, get back to arguably. Yeah, not far off his best, I'd say.
No, not at all. It was Mick Mill's 650th appearance for the club. Bobby Robson said at the end, at least 6 of our players played badly.
Yeah, I remember it being a sort of, considering the sort of wet weather we'd had and stuff, it's quite sort of bouncy ball and it's one of those horrible games where you come away 0-0. Yeah, okay. Ipswich at home, we know we're going to beat him. So yeah, just just what it is, really. Yeah.
I tell you what, the bookies obviously thought that we were going to beat them as well in the home replay because Town were immediately installed as 9-2 favourites after the game because there were shock exits for Liverpool, Manchester United, and West Brom.
Well, yeah.
This is. Let's get some brasso. We're going to be polishing a lot of trophies, I think.
We're there, aren't we?
Yeah.
We can clean up.
3 days later, we're back at Portman Road for the 4th round replay. The only change again, as you mentioned, Steve McCall is coming for Burleigh. This is a start of run of 6 home games, which I think is fantastic.
I saw that. I couldn't believe it when I saw that. Yeah.
You'll love this program because it's an icon. It's got Cyril Regis and Russell Osman on there. Yeah.
That's the iconic West Brom shirt, that, isn't it?
Oh, without a doubt.
Semi-final. Yeah.
The mascot was in the usual place, so I'm guessing by that I meant towards the back. And the mascot, my wife said, "Why don't you put those little sticky notes on there?" And I was like, "What, on my program?"
Risk damage in the
so we've got, and let's not say that we were ahead of our times, but we've got a girl as a mascot. So not all this boy stuff. We've got a girl, Jane Fairs. If you pronounce for Fayers, Fayers. And she's from 5 Mayfield Road in Ipswich.
Oh, that's close.
And she went
that's
to.
That's up near you.
Yeah, she went to. I'm going to go knock on the door. She went to Rushmere Hall Junior School, and here she is.
How old? I know. How old is saying on for 9? So she'd be 15. she'd be 50. God, yeah. Jane, blimey.
Right,
yeah.
I'm going to do that tomorrow. Number 5, Mayfield Road. Hello.
It's just around the corner from your. Sorry, Stat. Your school. Your old school.
My former employer.
Your former employer.
Their loss.
Yep.
Right, let's move on. So we go to the game, and it's an easy 3-0 victory, 2 goals from Gates and Walk. 27,500 fans turn up there, so there must have been a thought of cup voucher tickets again.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I can't remember much about this game. I remember going, and as we thought, on the way back from when we're avoiding bricks and cans of beer from being pelted at from the Norwich fans, sort of discussing, we'll be all right. We obviously we were.
So then we move exactly. So we move on to the Saturday. It's the 41st game. We're playing Stoke City at home in the league. There's the programme. I'm just gonna. Don't know who that is.
Wow, look at that. That's Tommy Williams against
Leicester.
Leicester.
I could tell you.
Never bought, and it's just never. I'm sure he's got games and very rarely picked up programmes back then.
Tommy Williams, yeah. The mascot is on the same page as somebody saying that Paul Cooper should win an international cap, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
And his name is Ian Sheldrake.
Ooh.
Of 43 Crofton Road, Ipswich.
Again, that's just around the corner. It's just off Colchester Road, isn't it? Hang on. How old is he? How old will he be now? How old is he?
He's 6.
Oh, youngster. He's a mere 40. He's a mere 47.
He went to
5.
Yeah, and he went to St John's. And I was trying to work that out in my head. Some of the Stoke players, just to go through, Peter Fox, he makes a great save in this game. But Adrian Heath and Lee Chapman and Paul Bracewell all stand out.
This was a game. I remember going to this game, and I'll tell you a game I'll compare this with. Not a town game. You know the old iconic Leeds Southampton 7-0 games, 7-0 game. You see, we were so good this game and so dominant. It was like that. Seriously, 4-0 could have been 10. No, without doubt, we were absolutely. And I read a bit. I said right at the start of this, I've referred back to that because he does a. He does a bit on each game of the season. And a great quote in there from the Stoke manager, Alan Durbin, after the game. He said to Rob, I was so proud. He said, you've got a Rolls Royce of a team. He said, a Rolls Royce. So, we were absolutely brilliant. There's one ridiculous goal there by Brazil where I think Murin chips it forward and there's a little flick from Mariner. And they play a little triangle first, a little flick from Mariner. And Jerry Harrison goes, Brazil's in. Yeah, it's 4-0. Just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
That was Brazil's second and Town's third. Yeah, it was. I've just put lovely one-touch stuff. It's a great goal. Gates finishes it off with the fourth goal. Great stuff from Butcher to win the ball.
That's right.
Once Gates away, he's gone. Bobby Robson said at the end, "We're in a wonderful position, challenging for 3 major trophies." He didn't say this, but I add on to it that Liverpool had just lost and Villa had won that day. So if we look at the league table, Liverpool are on 36 points from 28 games. Villa and Town are on 40 points from 28 and 27 games, respectively. So it's heating up. And then we play game 42 on the Saturday, 28th league game, and we're playing Dario Gradi's Crystal Palace, bottom of the table Crystal Palace, who turn out in their fantastic white kit with the blue and red stripes. Always worrying. Iconic
kit. That one, absolutely iconic.
Actually, I might have it. So this is the program's got the one from the away.
Look at that kit. That is a lovely kit.
Town in all blue that day. So then we have a little bit of a change. The Beatty comes in for the injured Mills.
Yeah.
So Russell Osman moves to right back. And Beatty and Butcher, your 2 centre halves, and McCall goes to left back.
It's been a rare game for Osman at right back because I can never really remember him playing at right back. Yeah, blimey.
And I only saw that from reading different books and articles and stuff. But so he plays at right. I think he plays at right back for 2 games. Right. Ian Walsh, I think Paul Walsh's dad or something. He scores the opener for Palace.
Yeah.
Mariner gets one, and Walk gets a penalty just after half time in the second half.
That's right. We score. I'm looking at this now. Then it's an own goal. We score like 3 and 7 minutes, don't we?
Yeah.
So I think at half time, 1-0 down, and they scored just before half time. I can remember getting a bit edgy. You know what I mean? We always looked like we could score, obviously, and yeah, we just again sort of game. Then Mariner scores an own goal later on. It's just one of those games you get through and you just do enough, really.
Interestingly, it was not the first game that Paul Mariner has scored for and against for Town and against Town in the same game. He had done that against Plymouth as well. I think earlier in about 19, just before he joined Town, he scored an own goal in the same game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hey, that's the phrase I was looking for at both ends. So Liverpool lose again. Now a 2-horse race. Villa win 3-1 at Everton, which I must admit, must send a few shockwaves. We just drew there 0-0.
Goal of the season in that game, Tony Morley.
Was it? Of course. There you go. So if you look at the table now, Liverpool are third, 6 points off Town and Villa, who are both 42. But again, we've got the game in hand. Sad news that week. Roger Osborne leaves Town and goes off to Colchester.
Yeah. I think he had figured. I think he had figured in 1 or 2 games prior to that, probably before Christmas, I think. But yeah. I mean, obviously, what a servant, and we'll always be immortal to Town fans, won't they? For goodness' sake.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So we then move on to Valentine's Day against third division Charlton Athletic in the FA Cup, and this is going to be a massacre, isn't it? On this date, do you think? Hang on a minute. I'm a bit confused because there are no team changes. So again, the team is Cooper, Osman at right back, Beatty, Butcher and McCall going across the back line, Gates, Walk, Tyson and Murin. Obviously Gates playing just behind Mariner and Brazil. That seems quite a strong team again to see off a third division side.
They just didn't make changes in those days. Even if Liverpool in cup games, you see Liverpool playing games like that, they just didn't make changes. Although the squads, no side had the depth of squads. Certainly in the Premier League, in the top division, no side had the depth of squads that they have today. Well, obviously not, because there's only one sub, for Christ's sake. But yeah, I mean, the players that are available there, you see there, the side picked itself really. Yeah, there was just no change. This can be seen as there's a really interesting point in another few games regarding Murin. But anyway, go on.
Yeah. So Town win the game 2-0. Walk and Mariner. Mariner's goal. Do you remember that one?
Oh well, I'll tell you what. I remember both. Walk's goal was ridiculous. Quite a tight game. Charlton, remember, good atmosphere. Charlton bought quite a few. Lot of support. I don't know. Again, another 30,000 crowd potentially started.
Yeah, just over 30,000. Yeah,
unbelievable, great atmosphere. The first goal, Walk, sort of precision, side foots it in from about 20 yards in a gap like this, unbelievable. Then, right at the end, Mariner, just typical centre forwards goal. I think perhaps there's a through ball, hoiked forward from Butcher or Osman or something like that. Mariner just sheer strength, and he shrugs off a centre half and absolutely buries it. And always nice about that, both of those goals, Walker and Mariner up the north stand end, so he's given it large after that. Yeah, just absolutely superb memory. I remember that game really well. Yeah, good atmosphere, good win. Yeah, they gave as good as you get. A very young, you mentioned him earlier, very young Paul Walsh in the Charlton side.
Yeah, and we have I've got the programme here. Yeah, he was. Now, the manager of Charlton, Mike Bailey, he'd made it clear before the game that promotion from the third tier of English football was what he was looking for, and not targeting the FA Cup.
He would say that.
Yeah. Well, I think you might have said it before, to be honest with you. But I'm going to have to check to see how Charlton's team, if I can find it, if Charlton made any changes for that game. Now, I wanted to mention the mascot. The mascot's gone back into the notebook section.
Well, I'll be looking at my my team for that game. Go on.
Yeah. So there's a picture of the mascot. Let me read it out. His name is so he's 4, and his name's
4.
4. Yeah. Alan Morrison of 17 Oakland Road, Dovercourt.
Oh, okay.
But that's not the bit that stood out. They have these strange bits in here, and one of them is called "Can You Help?"
Right. Oh, is this when you put like people into? Go on.
I'm missing a program, or I'd like a pen pal. But this one is just stood out, and I just wondered whether they'd put something similar in programs today. So Kevin Smith of 54 Ravensbourne Drive in Chelmsford,
right,
is keen to trace the two girls he met on the special train to Shrewsbury last month. Their names were Alison and Debbie, and he'd like to hear from either or both of them.
I bet he would.
That's
if Alison and Debbie are watching, tell us, did you get in touch? And did one of you end up marrying him?
Wow, that'd be great. I was just checking that he wasn't Kevin Smith 54 of Ravensbourne Drive, but no, he's from number 54. So you never know, might well happen. So we then move on. So Villa didn't have a game that day. So we then move on to game 44, which I like to call at this point final game in hand on Villa that we play, and we're playing Middlesbrough's. John Neal's Middlesbrough. Mm-hmm. Do you remember a lot about him? I know nothing about John Neal.
No, I don't. I know he went on to manage Chelsea, I believe. Did he? Yeah, he did. Yeah, may have been gone from Middlesbrough to Chelsea. Pretty sure he managed Chelsea. I don't know a lot else about him, to be fair.
So let's have a look at the mascot. This mascot's a bit older. He's 8. His name's Gary Newman.
What?
Newman. Newman. Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be awesome, mate. If Gary Newman,
let's just say it's him.
Yeah.
So it's Gary Newman, Newman is his surname, and at the time he lived at 5 Grove Gardens in Woodbridge, and his favourite player was Paul Cooper, which is nice to see. Cooper getting a mention.
A vote for Coops. Yeah, I don't think Gary Newman lived in Woodbridge.
Now, let's have a look at the team. Because it took me a little while to find something, and I was like, what on earth is going on with this team? So this is what I believe is happening. So
go on.
Cooper's in goal. That much I'm certain.
I'm reading it, yeah.
Mills comes in at right back for McCall.
Right.
Osman switches from right back to centre half with Beatty.
Right.
And Butcher goes to left back.
Yeah, that would stack up, yeah.
O'Callaghan comes in for the injured Mariner alongside Walk, Tyson and Murin, and Gates switches up front with Brazil. So question I got for you, why didn't Bobby Robson keep Osman at right back? See, I mean, there's a lot of changes. He's changed 3 positions in the back 4 there.
I don't know. I suppose Mills captain. If Mills is fit, Mills plays, I guess.
But Mills can play it. Well, yeah, I guess.
Again, just what I wouldn't have picked up on that at the time. But I think, you're right. If Mills is fit, Mills plays. So naturally he comes back in.
For McCall and not Butcher. I guess that would have been the change, wouldn't it?
Yeah. For McCall, Beatty would have. Well, Beatty's fit. Well, Beatty's playing whether he's fit or not.
Town win 1-0. Brazil just before half time.
Yeah, I remember midweek game. I don't know. Still half decent crowd again. Look, just under 25,000. Don't remember much. Don't really remember much about the game. Just fairly in that sort of season, a fairly nondescript sort of game. But just do enough.
The unbeaten home record extended to 40 games, and now the top of the table. Liverpool on 37 points from 30 games.
Daylight stat.
Villa are on 42 from 29, and we're on 44 from 29, and we have a 4-goal advantage.
Oh man, all looking good, isn't it?
It is.
And it continues to look good.
And another home game. Did you have any money left? Did anybody have any money left? 6 games and what seems about.
I think all my money wasn't greatly paid yet. I think all my money used to just go on football. I think football and records. Makes sounds old. Football and records. That was it basically. Occasional bit. Obviously beer. But that was it. Just live for the weekend. It's just brilliant, mate. Honestly, I mean, imagine this, all these games, and you're turning up at home, expecting to win. Ultimately, you win. It's just brilliant.
I was much the same as a 9-year-old. It was just records and beer. Just have a little look, and we'll go back to the program at the moment. So let's look at the team. So McCall comes in now because Tyson's playing for Holland against Cyprus the next day. And Mariner comes in for the injured Brazil. So let's just do a quick recap. We got Cooper, Mills, Beatty, Osman, and Butcher as your back 4.
Decent, yeah.
O'Callaghan, Walk, McCall, I think, is playing in the middle with Murin on the wing.
Yeah.
As such, and Gates and Mariner are up front. Do you remember anything about the goals in this game? I remember being at this game.
Really? Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I think I was in Churchman's. Andy Gray scored one early on, like a little diving header across Cooper. Remember that. What I do remember, this is Kevin Beatty's last ever goal for Ipswich. So far post, a towering far post header, last ever goal for the club.
I should be telling you stuff like that.
Well,
I know.
All right. I remember this. Can't remember much about Gates's goal. And I remember the Richards penalty up the north stand, John Richards penalty up the north stand, then second half, and it's one that Cooper saves it, but sort of like pushes it out, and he has a second go and just completely has a larrups it over the bar in the north stand. Yeah. I think it was maybe been 3-1 at that stage. I think we've certainly. Well, we were. I'm pretty sure we were ahead. We were. Obviously, we were ahead. Yeah.
That's my key memory about that game. Is that penalty there definitely? And Paul Cooper was a Wolves fan. I found out.
He's from that. Yeah, closer to Wolverhampton than. I think he's a black. Let's call it, don't we? A black country lad, wasn't he? Rather, he
is
Brummy.
Two things I want to pick up about the goal. Just to let you know about Gates's goal. Walkie's header is going off target, and basically it's going wide. And Gates.
Oh, he reacts, doesn't he? It's a clever goal. Yeah, I remember that.
Beatty's goal. You've got to watch this because I don't know if you know, Dave, but this is Beatty's last goal for Town. Just thought I'd let you know that. And it's a strange free kick routine because they all start running off, and none of them are touching the ball.
Planned? Who puts it in the end? Is it Murin who puts it in?
No, I think. Well, Murin puts it in from the byline, but he's run past the dead ball, and somebody else has, and I don't know who passes it to who, but yeah, Beatty's about 2 yards out.
Beatty's in the team, so just hang it up at the back post, and probably still, even with his dodgy knees, and he did. I mean, again, I remember him getting up particularly high for that one. Yeah, up North Stand then. So this game is also noted for a quite an interesting number one. Okay, number one record at the time. I have to say this is a record I didn't buy, but I certainly bought the album that the number two was on. The number two. So this is the song that kept. I think this record was voted the greatest ever number two, never to get to number one. So number one obviously is
"Shut Up at Your Face."
Oh, it's Joe Dolce, "Shut Up at Your Face."
Well, here's a funny story. The Stat family were sitting down, and because I was trying to set up in here, we sat in the lounge and we had dinner on our laps and stuff like that. And we were watching Pointless, and the round was one word song titles from the 80s, and I went, they'll have Vienna on that, and they did. And I said, do you realise that? And so I do pick some things up from you.
There you go.
Joe Dolce. Let's discount Liverpool from the table now. I've always wanted to say that. Good. So Town and Villa both played 30 games, and we're on 46, and they're on 44. Now, you would think that would have been the biggest news of the weekend.
Go on.
But coming up during the week, Charles and the lady Diana Spencer got engaged.
Engagement. Oh my goodness me! Yeah, crikey! God, I remember that really well. I remember that was it. Coming home from work, expecting to see, I don't know, whatever was on or whatever, and that was all over the news. My God, yeah, massive.
So the Wednesday or the Tuesday that week, Scotland didn't think that John Walker played enough games, so they flew him out to Tel Aviv, and he won his 10th cap for Scotland against Israel. And then on Saturday, he's back, but he's not, because we're playing Coventry City, and Tyson is in for the injured John Walk.
See, that's the sort of thing where, again, that just didn't happen in those days, where players, can you imagine him being allowed to go? They're feigning, he's tweaked a hamstring or something like that. There would be no way on earth. But again, players just did. That was just the club's, international took precedent, over everything.
So on my list of people that I'm making a note of in my little book here, obviously Norwich for the League Cup replay, just giving us another game, and suddenly we're behind there with the games in hand. Perhaps football as a whole, not knowing about squad rotation and stuff like that, sticking with, but also John and Scotland, the Scottish FA. I'm going to put them on the list now.
What about and Dutch FA as well?
Yeah, but he didn't come back injured. That's good point.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So then we are. I don't know if I even looked at the Wolves programme. The mascot was on page 5. Let's have a look at the mascot. Only be fair. And he's Andrew Foreman, and he's he's not 14, he's 10, and he's a 14 Town Lane Road. Town Lane, never heard that before, in Bury St Edmunds.
Oh, right. Okay.
And it looks like, if you have a look at it, he's actually gone into Woolies and had his photo taken in the little photo booth there.
Photo me booth. Yeah. The old photo me at the station and at Woolies, yeah. Super.
So now we're now off to Town at Coventry.
I've got to say, this coming up is one of the one of the most iconic weeks in ITFC history. These 3 games, this is my favourite week, I think, and I've ever supported. Obviously, okay, let's put the FA Cup to one side and perhaps win, but unbelievable. And I like to say I was at all 3 of these games. I'm sure 1 or 2 were, but I was at the 2. I was at the 2 away game, the 2 domestic away games. Unbelievable. Again, look at that kit. Stan, where'd you stand on that kit then, mate?
Oh, I love it. And can I just say,
German newspaper, isn't it?
Jerry Daly, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a big thanks to our colleague Rich, Ipswich. Obviously he's got all of these commentary programs, so he let me borrow that one. He's a big fan. So here are the changes for the team. Tyson comes in for the injured John Walk, and Brazil returns for O'Callaghan. So we're basically so McCall plays in the centre. Talk to us about it. There's a couple of. Certainly one goal I want you to speak to.
It's absolutely hosing down all game. I remember, again, going there in my mates. I was at 4 overs in my mate's Escort Mark 1. Dinger. My mate Dinger's Escort Mark 1. Remember it really well, really clearly. It absolutely hoses down all game. Horrible. Pitch is cutting up. The ball, one of those things where the ball's perhaps not moving in parts of the pitch, across the pitch properly. But again, once we score, I think Brazil, again, stupid bit of play from Tyson sets up, I think, Brazil from close range for the first one. But I know the goal you're thinking about. I think it's Steve McCall's first ever league goal. I believe it's his first ever league goal.
Yeah.
And this is on Match of the Day. I remember getting home from Coventry. It's a league game on Match of the Day. And it's an absolute, I think it probably would be classed as a thunder bastard, actually. Sort of wins a tackle, takes it out of his feet and absolutely lashes it in from about, left foot, 25 yards. Keeper doesn't even move, does he? Hell of a strike. No, and then we just, go on and, it's 4-0. Brilliant.
Who was the keeper? So it was Les Seeley was in goal for Coventry.
Yeah, Les Seeley, yeah. Late on, I think he drops away, he throws one in from Osborne. Osborne, a bit of a weak old header, and he should save it, and he sort of lets it sort of squirm in, I think. But, it's 4-0 and just, we win at a canter, really.
Yeah, Gary Gillespie also played in that game. But the thing that I like about McCall's goal is just before it's a tackle from Osman. He's on the right side of midfield in their half.
Thunderous.
Crunch and tackle, then heads forward. I'd love to speak to him about that. All going well, but Peter With, so Town finished the game winning 4-0. Peter With scores an 83rd minute winner at Wolves, so we're still 2 points ahead of them. We're on 48, they're on 46. Unsurprisingly, a fantastic month for February, and Bobby Robson wins Manager of the Month.
However, coming up,
No, that was game 47. So it's a Wednesday night, and we are going to the Stade Geoffroy Guichard.
Man, I like
for the UEFA Cup.
Got to just get a prompt here. Go on.
Yeah, okay.
So we've got something
I'll read it slowly. It's the UEFA Cup 4th round, first leg against Saint Etienne. Now, one thing I want to ask you about this. Before the game, Bobby Robson warns his side that Saint Etienne are probably the best side his team will have faced ever. And he makes the one change, and then you look at the team with Walk returns from McCall. So you got Cooper in goal, Mills at right back, Butcher at left back, Beatty and Osman in the two centre halves. I think a lot of people would probably overlook the fact that Kevin Beatty was playing in that game just because of how his career panned out at that point.
Well, no, absolutely, and I didn't realise that. Well, I knew he played in this game, but he's on a bit of a run of games. He played in the preceding certainly 2 or 3.
Which at that stage. Now, one of the things. The trainer, as he was called for Saint Etienne, was Robert Herbin, who sadly died, I think, a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. He was the coach, you mean? The actual
well, they called him trainer, but one of the big sort of afro kind of hairstyle.
Just recently.
Yeah, within the last couple of weeks. But
okay.
Pierre Garanère was the manager. So I've never heard before yesterday Pierre Garanère is anything to do with it. But,
I thought it was Herbert. If you'd asked me, I thought it was Herbert. If you'd asked me.
Well,
Herbert.
Yeah. Before we get to the game, Graham Blackburn, the fantastic presenter of
GB.
Sorry, I got that wrong. The presenter of the fantastic Naked Footy show, Graham, sent us in an email about Saint Etienne. One a story about his brother and one a story about himself. Now, just to let people know, Graham has sent about a 20-page email, so we're going to try and
break it down a bit. I mean, this is a brilliant story, and he's recounted this to me before. I think perhaps on the Naked Footy show, but he went into a bit more detail. Just quickly, so my brother Paul was at Hull Uni and chose to do his French language degree placement at Saint Etienne because he was a big footy fan, and Saint Etienne were one of the biggest clubs in Europe at the time. Played, European Cup semi-final against Liverpool season or two before. He chose the club for his thesis, so asked if he could spend time with him, and he was a decent amateur goalkeeper. So so they were happy for him to train with him, like Johnny Rep, Michel Platini. Hello. He was soon registered a player in what was the equivalent of today's academy. The other keeper in the academy is Jean Castaneda, who had gone to play for France from 1981. The same year, he'd also play against Ipswich. Interestingly, the academy used to play warm-up matches before big European games. So Paul often sells himself playing in front of 30,000 plus by the time his game finished. And this is it. I'm getting onto this. St Etienne reached a European Cup final in 1976, but with the reserve keeper injured, it fell to a choice between Castaneda and Paul as to who would be on the bench that night. As the older, more experienced of the two, and in my brother's opinion, the better keeper, modest, Castaneda got the nod. Paul was only 21 and said he would have shat himself if he'd been selected. He was a hand and part for the game, though, and watched them lose 1-0 to Bayern Munich. I mean, what an unbelievable story. Then he goes on, and then I must say, he then goes on to play. He does, it's a slight career. Goes on to play first-team friendlies for Hull City. Although he did actually get to play against Tampa Bay Rowdies in the Anglo-American Cup. And a further Hull connection, Paul also played with Dale Roberts at Hull, where they became firm friends. And through that, GB got to know Dale as he'd often meet up with Paul when he was down for games at Ipswich. Just an unbelievable story. But it's worth telling just GB's story about his memory of the game and his travel to and from the game is epic.
Well, I think he's very lucky that his brother Paul was obviously, in and around the first team in one way. So Graham travels by coach via ferry from Felixstowe, and they eventually arrive near Lyon early afternoon, where we're being held up until the onward trip to St Etienne because Man United fans had caused trouble there 3 years earlier.
They had,
which was the last time I think St Etienne had played an English team.
Yeah.
So the town fans were kind of being tarred with the same brush there and were forbidden to go into the city. Anyway, he was mortified because his brother had told him to go to his local where his friends would meet us. So he managed to persuade the driver that he was arranging to meet an ex-St Etienne player. Ironically, Paul couldn't go over for the game. And the driver allowed him and his mate to sneak out from where they got a train into the city. He said, I was recognised as soon as I entered the bar. The landlord said that I shared my brother's nose. Needless to say, the locals gave us so much stick.
Just stick there. When he said that, I thought he meant he's walking in there with a green shirt and goalkeeper's gloves. But anyway, go on.
There you go. Yeah, and Blackburn on the back. And needless to say, the locals gave us so much stick and told us that we had no chance of getting a result. I believe St Etienne had never lost a home game in Europe. Best check that stat. I did, Graham, and that's incorrect. Anyway, a drinking buddy of Paul's drove us to the ground. We found the town fans quite low down behind the goal and subject to threats, torrents of abuse, and also drowning by water bombs, which rained down on us. No prizes for guessing what the makeup of the water was in the water bomb. As for the game itself, I feared the worst. Yeah, very good. I feared the worst when we went a goal down. Remember, St Etienne were huge in Europe back then. Shall I just carry on because he might kind of go through the goals here. So suddenly we got our passing game going, and once we'd established a 2-1 lead, there was only ever going to be one team winning that match. At the end of the game, the jubilation was tempered by a sense of fear. How were we to get out of the stadium alive? Remarkably, almost to a man and woman, the home fans couldn't wait to shake our hands, congratulate us, and wish us luck.
Brilliant.
They acknowledged that they'd been outplayed at home in Europe for the first time ever. It was a fantastic gesture, something I've not come across better or since. For me, it was easily Town's best away performance in Europe. In fact, I can't think of a better, more complete ITFC performance. He's nearly finished. The journey home through the night was exhausting. The ferry crossing proved quite choppy, so we took our minds off it by watching Flash Gordon in the cinema, and we exited to the sight and stench of vomit. Gordon's dead. So fantastic story.
Brilliant, GB. Brilliant memories. Absolutely superb.
Just to go through the goals, Johnny Rep, 16 minutes, and as Graham said, we probably all thought at that point that the worst is happening. Mariner, 28, so we're 1-1 at half time. Straight after half time, Muren with a 25-yarder, fantastic goal. Mariner puts us 3-1 up on the 57th minute, and then
walk header is ridiculous. Way out, and an absolutely brilliant goal.
His 30th goal of the season, and despite what some people might have told you, this was only Saint Etienne's third home defeat in Europe and their first in 26 years.
I've got to say that I secretly knew that, but I didn't want to,
to be fair, Graham won't watch this. He's too busy.
No, you won't watch it.
You won't. Bobby Robson said we were simply magnificent. Now, I think he missed a trick there. He should have said we were simply magnifique. That's what I would have done. Yeah, the result will cause a real stir around Europe. He later went on, when I think he was managing FC Porto, to say that he felt that it was the best away performance by a British team ever.
Yeah.
And the next day, L'Equipe headline. And the next day was, I'm guessing that was in French, but the translation was, Ipswich are the new Ajax.
Wow, there you go. Rare praise indeed. I mean, again, from that Robson's book, he said moments like this are rare in a manager's lifetime, and you can see it was just, absolutely brilliant, absolutely super.
But the frustrating thing is that you'd think that everybody in England was going to be talking about the fact that Ipswich had gone to St Etienne and beaten them 4-1. The next day, everybody was talking about the release of the Spectrum ZX81 that came out.
Yeah, that, of course they were. Yeah, that would have overshadowed everything.
I think that's when the stat machine was kind of born. Line 10 and put stuff in. So I mean, it's still unbelievable to think that we went in their backyard with some fantastic players. I mean, I've got the home program here. So Patrick Battiston, Christian Lopez was the captain.
A season later was nearly decapitated by Harold Schumacher at the World Cup. Yeah, I mean, they're full of internationals. Incredible. Yeah, just incredible.
So what we want then is, we've played in the fourth round of the UEFA Cup, first leg. Let's go back home and hopefully have a nice, easy tie. But no, we're playing in the sixth round or the quarterfinals, whichever way you want to call it, of the FA Cup. And we're away to Forest, whose title hopes are finished. So they're now focusing on the FA Cup with some silverware.
Yeah.
So it's at the City Ground. There's the programme.
I can remember. I think I did get that programme. This stat is would be in my top, I don't know, God, 5, no, perhaps top 5's getting it. Top 10 ever Ipswich games I've ever witnessed, ever been to, home and away, this game. Unbelievable game.
It's a roller coaster, I think.
Trevor Francis that day gave arguably one of the best individual performances I think I've seen. He absolutely. Well, you go through the goal. You start to go through because we're 2 up in no time.
We are. The only change for the team is that obviously, actually, all these games coming thick and fast now are catching up on Kevin Beatty.
Yeah.
So McCall comes in for Beatty, and so we've got Cooper, Mills, Osmond, Butcher, McCall, Gates, Tyson, Walk, Muren, Mariner, and Brazil.
I'd actually go as far as to say, just looking, I don't know, you can shoot me down, but I don't think we might see Beatty again till the Cup semi-final shock. I might be wrong. But not many more times.
Well, we'll have a look.
Go on anyway.
Yeah, we've got a couple of games left, but no, he certainly doesn't play this part 3 of the season. I've lost me bit there. No, so there we go. Yeah, so you got to remember also that we're playing the 6th round of the FA Cup. Villa are playing in the league. So again, we're going a game game behind them. I tell you what, I saw him in one of the programs earlier, which was Viv Anderson. He had an absolute shocker in this game.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah.
So Mariner scores the first. Anderson's not even looking. He just plays the ball back to Shilton, and Mariner just sneaks in and sticks it in the back of the net. Town 1-0 up after 14 minutes. 24 minutes, ball comes across, and Anderson puts not necessarily a bullet header, but he put it somewhere where Shilton couldn't get it. So Town are 2-0 up after 24 minutes, which is what you want. You take your foot off the gas at that point.
Then Francis just takes the game by the scruff of the neck, mate. He was unbelievable. I just remember it so clearly.
Yeah, he scored a minute after 25th. 42 minutes, Walsh had scored. Who would be Walsh for?
Colin Walsh.
Colin Walsh,
squad player. I don't know if you see again his highlights. I think the brilliant Hugh Johns from the Midlands, TV commentary, his Central TV, wouldn't it have been? He's commentating. Hugh Johns absolutely brilliant, and I think Butcher gets pulled out wide, and he's a one-on-one wide with Francis, and Francis absolutely takes him to the cleaners. He slides in, he's away and sets it up. I remember it really well. He's electric, absolutely brilliant.
Robertson scores just at the start, 6 minutes into the second half from a penalty, so that Forest are suddenly 3-2 up.
Yeah, we're down. We think, here we go. Yeah. But no.
9 minutes from the end, and I've watched this a few times. Tyson, like I said, he's my favourite player certainly from that era. Yeah. And I've got to say, it was a fortunate equaliser. It kind of comes off the defender's shin as well.
That's his swinger, isn't it? Yeah. His swinger. Sort of ball bobbles about, and he just takes a swing at it. Massive deflection, sort of spins past Shilton in the far corner. Again, from Robson's books, those 3-3. Forest, as you said, are out of the running for the league. Whether they're still in the European Cup, I doubt they are at that stage, because I think they've been knocked out. Winning it for 2 years. I think they're gone by then. Can't quite remember. And there's this great story in Robson's book where he says he goes into Clough's office, after the game, seeking their permission. Say, look, it's going to be midweek because there's no 10-day gap then. Just because our fixture congestion, could we move the game from Tuesday to Wednesday? Apparently, Clough tells him to F off. He said, if it was up to me, I'd play you on the beach tomorrow. And apparently, when he goes in, he said, it's all dark. They're having a post-mortem about the game. It's totally dark. Kenny Burns is there. Clough's there. Peter Taylor there. No light. Totally dark. And as he tells him to F off, he said, I'll play you lot on the beach tomorrow. We'll see you at Portman Road on Tuesday. Great. Yeah, brilliant story.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
11 goals in 3 away games.
Oh, it's just ridiculous, mate, isn't it? Honestly. If it's a better week, it's just mad, isn't it? Absolute madness.
It's a fantastic. It could have been even better if we didn't throw away a 2-0 lead after.
Well, it's another game, of course. Yeah. Another game. And like I said, I don't think it was one of those games where I said Francis took the game. We were 2-0 up literally for about a minute. Yeah. And Francis gets but just one of the greatest games I think I've seen.
There's a new entry in the top 3, because obviously even though we're playing in the cup, the league still goes on. Villa win, and they're joint top with us, both on 48, but we've got a game in hand. Yeah. And I have to scroll down a little bit. West Brom have appeared in third place, but they are 7 points behind us.
Good side.
So then we go on the beach the next day, playing Brian Clough's Forest, but then at the last minute they said it couldn't happen, so we were going to play them.
Too much. Not enough sand, too many.
Yeah, I'm just checking the programme. Yeah, it was a Tuesday night kick-off at 7:30. Well, I'll have a quick look at the mascot and then we'll move on. Yeah. Now, this name rings a bell.
There we go.
Daniel Laws.
Okay.
I don't know. He's 8 and he's from Malmesbury Close. Is that how you pronounce it?
Let's have a look.
Hang on, scrolling in there.
I think it might be one. I know a Danny Laws. I know a Danny Laws who used to play football locally.
This isn't Danny. This is Daniel. Daniel Laws.
Yeah. Okay. Might be. I don't know.
Bobby Robson makes a point to Brian Clough by playing exactly the same team that he did on Saturday. Muren plays against doctor's advice. He's got a troublesome groin strain.
How would you ever do that? Oh, there you go. Yeah,
and I've got to say, the first half, and reading reports and looking at what's on YouTube, town weather the first half storm.
There's a picture of the crowd in Churchman's, and I'm in that picture. It's an EADD picture. I saw it a few weeks ago. I'm in that picture. But what I remember about this game, first 20 minutes, we are absolutely played off the park. They absolutely batter us. They score a ridiculous goal. Again, I'm sure there's footage of this. It's like a series about 4-1-2s, and I think Frankie Gray, left back, sort of pulls it back, and Ian Wallace sort of hits it in near post, but fortunately it's like hairs. VAR's just offside. But yeah, we're not at the races. They're absolutely battering us. But yeah, we sort of just see it. In the end, we see it out. And again, I think this is one of the most iconic Ipswich goals of that season. This particular goal.
Yeah, Tyson's cross is headed back in by Mariner,
but the header from Mariner is ridiculous. And
Muir I put Waxer in.
Just edge of the box, right foot, which is incredible.
Beautiful.
And again, right in the corner pass. No, it's only Peter Shilton, but again, and you go away. Look at the crowd again. Was 31 there? That 31. I can remember the atmosphere. Absolutely banging, brilliant. And you think, well, Christ, we are literally, we're going to win everything.
Well, Bobby Robson has a big smile on his face, and he says at the game it was a superhuman effort, and he goes on to say, this team is good enough to win the treble, and this is where his foresight comes into mind, but it's outside factors that worry me, like injuries, weariness, and too many games in a short space of time.
Yeah.
But who knows? So we're going to play that was the Tuesday. So then on the Saturday, we're at home again. It's the 50th game of the season, and it's only the 14th of March, 32 in the league. So there's 10 to go after this. And we're playing Keith Burtonshaw's.
Keith Burtonshaw, yeah.
Keith Burtonshaw's Tottenham. And the programme, I was going to tell you about the mascot. Just before the middle on the left-hand side. I've no idea why they kept doing that this season.
It's really annoyed you. I can tell. You're not happy about that, are you?
No, I'm not. Here we go. It's just above Tunup Town, and this mascot is Stephen Yates. He's 9 years old, and he's from 22 Princes Road, Eastbourne.
Blimey, come a long way. There you go. Yeah,
there he is. Nothing else in the programme. No changes again. So what's that? The third game that he's not made any change. I think he's settled on this. And I want to take you straight to the 8th minute, because what I want to talk about here is when we played in the reverse fixture against Tottenham.
Yeah.
Eric Gates gets kicked in the face, kicked in the balls, elbowed in the face, punched in the stomach.
Yeah.
And he gets sent off for just remonstrating a little bit with the referee. So what sweet revenge for him in the 8th minute when he scores
great goal.
Unbelievable goal.
Yeah.
From an unbelievable angle.
Yeah, Van Basten-like almost. Yeah.
And the thing about it was Town's 100th goal in their 50th match.
It's just averaging the two a game. It's just mad, isn't it, mate? Honestly. Barry Daines, I think, in goal was the Spurs keeper. Yeah.
He could have been. That would take us about 3 seasons to get 100 goals now. Barry Daines. I think I might have got in here the actual little slip. I haven't got the slip. But yeah, some of their players: Chris Hughton, Graham Roberts, Perryman, Ardiles, Archibald, Tony
Hoddle.
Galvin, Glenn Hoddle. Yeah, Hoddle and Crooks. 24th minute. There's an injury to Mick Mills. He's bundled off the ball, I think, by Graham Roberts. He dislocates his shoulder.
Yeah. O'Callaghan not happy. Not happy. Yeah.
O'Callaghan comes on, and John Walk moves to right back.
Wow, blimey. Okay.
Yeah. So we were football back in 1981 was fairly rigid. You played 4-4-2 basically.
Yeah, I mean that's why I think we were so good, because essentially you did, but they found this role. Bobby Ferguson, as I said before, found this withdrawn role for Eric Gates, where 4-4-2 could just become 4-3-3, or could become 4-3-3. It was very, very, very fluid. And at the time, I think we were one of the first teams at the time. Well, to have Gates was a unique player anyway. To have to hit on that system really, which I think was one of the main reasons we were so successful.
45th minute, Walkie steps up from right back and to score a penalty. Now the thing is, if you've seen that, And it completely sums up how Tottenham play. They've got some great players. We mentioned Hoddle and Ardiles, but they're a bunch of thugs, to be honest with you. And there are 4 players, Track and Mariner, and he's in the box. They're all around him. There's no need to tackle him. One of them just scythes him down.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of bad feeling. I mean, Spurs ultimately won that game prior to Christmas, but I think there's a lot of bad feeling spilling over from that game. And again, in Robson's book, Robson says I jumped out of the dugout and told Burtonshaw to tell his players to behave themselves or something like that. That was his his way. But again, big injury, Mills. Your captain. I know he's not out. I think he misses 4 games, only 2 league games. But it really starts to stretch.
I mean, Walkie's penalty on the stroke half time is his 25th, so he equals the most penalties scored by a Town player alongside Ted Phillips. Then Brazil, Mariner finds Brazil in space, and
it's a great finish.
Yeah, he fires home with his left foot. Yeah. Now you're right, Bobby Robson at the end is absolutely livid, and I'm going to put Tottenham in this list of reasons that this season might not go too well.
Yeah.
He said half my team are injured. There was some atrocious stuff from Spurs. We haven't got to the top of the table by kicking people, and we don't expect other teams to come here and kick us. 32,000 people turned up, and I tell you, one of the biggest cheers was in the 88th minute when they heard that McElroy had equalised for United against Villa, and Villa drew at home that day, 3-3.
Yeah.
So the league table is Forest have suddenly appeared in third now with 41 from 33.
We're miles away though. Yeah.
Villa are on 49 from 33, and we are now on 50 from 32.
Game in hand. Jeez, man.
So now
we're still winning, aren't we? My God.
So we're moving to the final game of part 3. It's game 51, and we're playing St Etienne, just over 30,000 in Portman Road. And a couple of things I want to speak to you about. Let's mention the classic Brazil and Valentine.
Yeah. Wow. That is brilliant picture.
This lad is very lucky because of where he lives. No, he's very lucky because of the fact he got picked to be a mascot. He was 11 years old, and his name was Paul Edwards of Saltings, Allwell Rise, Pin Mill in Ipswich.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. There's
Pin Mill. God dear. Super. Yeah. Another Paul Cooper fan.
Yeah, a lot of love for Paul Cooper there. Now, obviously, we talked about Beatty about Mills being injured. So coming in at right back to make his debut against one of the greatest teams in Europe was Kevin Steggles.
Yeah.
The day before he turned 20.
It's incredible. This is where the squad starts to stretch, because this is the first time, if you think about it, that we've covered all these games that, other than Laurie Civil for Cooper, that anyone outside of, I'm thinking of Beatty, McCall and O'Callaghan have had to play, have basically been in the starting 11. We put Civil to one side as either Cooper or Civil. We knew that. So this is where it does start to get stretched a bit. And I think he played really well. I know. Well, I think Steggles acquitted himself on the night. Steggles acquitted himself really well, but the thinness of the squad the frailty of the squad starts to show.
I went to this game, and I put the first half as a bit of an anticlimax. Now, this could be a 10-year-old petulant me, but I suddenly thought that we were going to be 4. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I got a St Etienne scarf. I remember swapping scarves. So I got that. I think I found it that year or so back. It's up there upstairs somewhere. Another brilliant night. I think Butcher scores just after half time. And that's the game. But that's not that we were 4-1 up, but they got a nail score 5. So I think you're relatively comfortable in.
Jacques Zimaco. He wasn't called Jacques Zimaco. I was just getting my French accent. Jacques Zimaco equalised in the 80th minute. Header from Rep's cross. Rep's cross was on. So probably Kevin Steggles was had a tough night because it came from that angle. Walk then puts Town 2-1 up, another penalty. Blatant handball. St Etienne players had given up at that point, and Mariner tucks the rebound away in the 89th minute. Town win 3-1, 7-2 on aggregate, and Bobby Robson said it was one of our quietest matches for a long time, but we've beaten one of the top sides in Europe 7-2 on aggregate, and that says it all.
Yeah, it does, and a really good number one actually. So forget about Joe Dolce now; that's all gone.
Yeah.
This is a good tune. This is Brian Ferry, Roxy Music, and Jealous Guy. Good song. Good song.
I thought that was John Lennon.
Probably was a throwback from John. Obviously, yes, John Lennon certainly did record it, but this was Roxy Music's version.
Oh, okay. No, just showing a bit of knowledge there. A bit of knowledge. Yeah. What was number 2?
Oh, Joe Dolce.
Oh, he's hanging around. I thought. Yeah. Before we finish up, I thought I'd bring you up to date with the goal scoring charts.
I was just looking at that and laughing. Anyway,
start from the bottom. So Steve McCall's got 1.
Yeah.
Shrewsbury has got
Leicester,
1.
Yeah.
Beatty with 2.
Yeah.
Osman with 3.
Yeah, 1 at Coventry. Remember? Yeah.
Butcher and Tyson and Own Goal have all got 3 each.
Yeah.
Murin with a disappointing 7.
Yeah, considering, I suppose, you're right, actually, because thinking about it, we'd have got loads of free kicks with Gates playing in and around the box, you'd have thought. Yeah. And he would have certainly taken them. Yeah.
So now we've got the top 4 who have all scored at least 10 league goals as well. So Gates is on 13, Brazil's on 15, Mariners on 22, and then leading the way with 32 goals is John Ward.
Yeah, what's surprising about that is Brazil's total in Europe. Was just dominated by Walk, 11 goals, Mariner next with 5, and then they've all got 1, haven't they? But yeah, I really thought Brazil would have scored more goals in Europe. But yeah, he won against Vinci Lodz, but that was it, I think, basically.
Yeah, I mean, he's the second highest goal scorer in the league. Walk 17, Brazil 14, and Mariner and Gates 10. But yeah, when you kind of look at it that way, that you kind of wonder whether some players, like you say, if you talk about Brazil and the UEFA Cup, then if you had Walk on the back of your shirt, then there was a fairly good chance that you were going to score. So I don't know about you. Kind of wrapping up, Dave. I look at this. You said to me you'd give me no spoilers. So we are, I believe, 1 point clear at the top of the table with a game in hand.
Yeah.
We've just beaten the greatest team in Europe, home and away.
Yeah.
We're in the FA Cup after beating Forest on the beach on the Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bobby Robson has said this is a season where this team could easily win the treble. I am looking forward to part 4 so much.
Oh dear! All I can say is that, almost be careful what you wish. Yeah, I think that it was a significant thing there. Steggles making his debut there was quite a significant, a significant point of the season. I think, like I said, I think he acquitted himself really well and certainly didn't let anyone down. But up to that point, we'd got away with the 14 with McCall, O'Callaghan, and obviously Beatty. So. Yeah, and like with Beatty, again, I didn't fully appreciate that, but playing those 3 games in a week or 3 games on the trot, just he couldn't take it. Just couldn't take it. I honestly think his next game is the FA Cup semi-final. I'm pretty sure it is, but just what a season, and that quarter of the season is just. Well, we haven't been beaten, have we? We don't lose any of that. No, we haven't. There's no losses in there, is there?
No.
Absolutely, and this is since the turn of the year.
Yeah, and Aston Villa, Forest, St Etienne.
Oh God, we're now well into March. It all starts. Spoiler of the next game I know is away at Man United, and
Listen, don't spoil it for me. I've enjoyed that.
Yeah, great stuff, mate. Superb. I think, and the highlight of that for me, I do know a mascot there. I'm pretty sure it's him. Stat, absolutely brilliant. How can people? Well, everyone knows how to find you, but how can they find you anyway? Go on.
I'm working from home at the moment.
Like
most people. WFA. Yeah. So at ChompX3, if they want to follow me, that would be great.
Same with me at Dave Diamond 3. I don't think many people follow me, but if they want to, they can. Stat, you got any more iconic interviews in the pipeline?
Trying to, I mean, the Jim Magilton one was something that I've been working on for about. Yeah. I don't know if you could.
Not sure, mate.
Let's see if we could. Let's see if we can
work. Say also back in the annals of Blue Monday podcast history. Ben has done 2 brilliant ones with Marcus Stewart and also Jono, also David Johnson. We didn't mention that at the very start, I think, which was a bit remiss. But yeah, I mean, we're just trying to sort of hold it together during this period of we'd be in the close season anyway now, so we obviously wouldn't be in the playoffs, so it'd be in action now. So we'd be on a holes now, really. We'd be having a well-earned break now, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Until we usually do 1 or 2. We'd probably have had a normal circumstance. We've probably done something around the Euros or something like that, wouldn't we? But the guys are busy, and they've done they did the playoff final walkthrough, which was pretty interesting. I see Sky Sports are now picked up on that as well, haven't they? For goodness sake. So So stay until the next time. It's still part 4. I mean, I know people are obviously can't wait for it, and the tension's unbearable. But yeah, look forward to that, mate. Stay safe, keep well, and enjoy your working from home forever now, virtually, aren't you?